Dr. Velthera Kix had been teaching advanced quantum mechanics at the prestigious Nexus Institute for 237 years. Her lectures on dimensional theory had shaped the minds of the galaxy's brightest beings across 43 different species. She had received the Golden Spiral Award for Educational Excellence 17 times. None of that had prepared her for Tommy Chin. The 12-year-old human sat in the front row of Lecture Hall 7 Delta, his legs swinging freely from a chair designed for beings twice his size. His school uniform was slightly wrinkled, his backpack covered with what the translation software identified as cartoon dinosaurs, and he was raising his hand with the persistent enthusiasm that had become the bane of Dr. Kix's existence. "Yes, Tommy?" she asked, her voice carrying the weary resignation that had developed over the past 3 weeks since the human child had been placed in her graduate-level course. Dr. Kix, when you said that faster-than-light travel requires 11-dimensional mathematics, did you mean the traditional Klein bottle configuration, or are you using the newer Huang-Morrison framework that accounts for quantum consciousness interaction? The lecture hall fell silent. 26 advanced students from various species, beings who had spent decades mastering the fundamentals of theoretical physics, stared at the human child with expressions ranging from confusion to barely concealed terror. Dr. Kix's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. The Klein bottle configuration is considered highly advanced theory. It's typically not introduced until the final semester of doctoral studies. Tommy nodded enthusiastically. "Oh, I read about that in my math book last summer. My dad got me some textbooks from the Human University system when I got bored with regular school. The Klein bottle stuff is pretty neat, but the Huang-Morrison thing seems more elegant for practical applications. Have you guys tried building any test models yet?" The Zentorian graduate student in the 3rd row began making soft whimpering sounds. The Krillian doctoral candidates' crystalline structure dimmed to what their species exhibited during severe stress. "Test models?" Dr. Kix repeated faintly. "Yeah. My science fair project last year was a miniature dimensional fold generator. It only worked for about 3 seconds, and it just moved a paper clip like half an inch, but my teacher said it showed promise." Tommy dug through his backpack and produced a device that made several students immediately activate their personal shield generators. "I brought it to show you. I've been working on the stability equations during lunch." Dr. Kix stared at what appeared to be a collection of components that her advanced physics classes spent entire semesters learning to identify, casually assembled into something that shouldn't have been possible for beings without access to military-grade quantum laboratories. "Tommy," she said carefully, "what did you have for breakfast this morning?" The question seemed random, but Dr. Kix had been conducting informal research into human cognitive enhancement techniques. Perhaps their species consumed some form of intelligence-boosting nutrients. "Oh, just cereal and orange juice. And some leftover pizza from last night." Tommy tilted his head with curious innocence. "Why? Oh, are we going to talk about biochemical neural enhancement? I read this fascinating paper about how human brains use glucose metabolism differently than other species. Did you know we can actually increase our processing power by eating certain carbohydrates?" The Altarian teaching assistant stood up so quickly that his chair toppled backward. "I need to check on something in the laboratory," he announced, his feathers displaying the color patterns associated with existential panic. He left the room at what could generously be called a sprint. "Anyway," Tommy continued, apparently oblivious to the chaos he was causing, "I was wondering if we could talk about practical applications for dimensional folding? Like, could you use it for faster-than-light communication? I did some calculations, and if you set up quantum entangled receivers in folded space..." He began drawing equations on his tablet, projecting them onto the lecture hall's main display. The mathematics that appeared were simultaneously elegant and terrifying, concepts that the Institute's most advanced researchers had been working on for decades, solved with the casual efficiency of a child completing homework. The Vorthian student in the back row began hyperventilating. 2 more students quietly gathered their belongings and slipped out of the hall. Dr. Kix watched the equations fill her display screen and felt something fundamental shift in her understanding of the universe. Not the mathematics, those were brilliant but comprehensible. What terrified her was the growing realization of what Tommy represented. "Tommy," she asked slowly, "what grade were you in before you came here?" "7th grade," he replied cheerfully. "But I was getting really bored in regular classes. My parents thought maybe alien school would be more challenging." That afternoon, Dr. Kix submitted her request for psychological counseling, academic leave, and a complete review of the Institute's admission policies. Her final report included a recommendation that all human applicants be evaluated not by chronological age, but by what she termed cognitive threat level. The next day, enrollment in advanced quantum mechanics dropped to 0. Tommy was moved to a special independent study program, where he worked alone with an AI instructor specifically programmed with stress management protocols. The Institute's medical facility reported a 340% increase in requests for anxiety medication among the faculty. And somewhere in the administrative offices, a quiet policy was enacted. No more humans under the age of 18 would be admitted without extensive psychological preparation for their instructors. The age of human academic integration had begun, and the galaxy was decidedly not ready.